Sunday afternoon, it's approximately 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Daylight Savings Time, USA, Canada. Sunday is a day where we theoretically relax. And I think sometimes that we forget to do this, and I'm guilty of this as well. In fact, after this reading, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the gym along with my wife and work out. Maybe we should just be relaxing. We did take about a 10-minute nap this afternoon until a friend of ours came, rang the doorbell, and brought around some information for us, which kind of made sure we didn't nap more than 10 minutes, which I guess was kind of good. Hope you got a chance to see the service this morning. If that's your scene, it was really and truly a good message. It was about judgment or non-judgment, and it was told in a loving manner. So if you didn't see it, you can get it on our Facebook Live page or our Facebook page, or you can get it on YouTube. Today's reading, of course, continues our bold journey, as it were. He's called this. He is Reverend Raymond Anderson. He's called it bold belonging. And the first quote, the two quotes, no, they're not all that long. The first quote is, "You must also pay attention to creating a culture of practice, helping people adopt their spirit, intentions, and mindset of practices rather than those of performance." And that was, and it's a big piece that it's quoted from, Robert Keegan and Lisa Laskow-Lahey, "An everyone culture, becoming a deliberately developmental organization." And if that's not a mouthful, I don't know what is. And that's on page 24 of that. And I'm not repeating it. I'm not repeating it. Ernest Holmes from Thoughts Are Things, which is a fairly well-known publication of Ernest Holmes, on page 61, paragraph 1 says, "But you must recognize that all people belong to the same kingdom. You merely claim for yourself what you want the divine spirit to do for everyone." So in other words, we're all the human race. And because we're all the human race, then we look out for each other. We don't just look out for ourselves, which we do. We also look out for other people. Reverend Raymond begins with a question. What is belonging and how do we practice it? In our polarized culture and society, it is easy to identify who we see as us and them and those people. It is easy to gravitate solely to those with whom we are most comfortable, feel safest around, and have the most in common with. There's validity to some of our safety concerns, especially when we recognize the amount of covert and implicit biases and abuses directed toward various segments of our population. Segregation based on politics, religion, gender, or socioeconomics will never ever lead to a world that works for all. So the practice of bold belonging is the practice of finding and creating connections. He says, I often reference people like jazz musician Daryl Davis as the avatar, bodhisattva, or patron saint of this practice. This black man found a way through the murk, the muck, and the mire of racist consciousness to converse with and become friends with Ku Klux Klan members. As a result, these Klansmen renounced their Klan affiliation in favor of their friendship with Davis. Now he goes on, he tells us this after that. He says, I'm not suggesting we all do what Davis does. Not all of us have that as our call. However, all of us are called. Each of us can do something to build the bridges of relationships. An example will be looking an unhoused person in the eyes and saying hello. This compassionate practice says, I see you and you belong. What is or will become your practice? You can see everyday examples of how this doesn't work, but you can also see everyday examples of how it does work. And I can give you one particular example, really based on that last paragraph there, One of our Toastmaster members, he's been a member for quite a long time, not as long as Barbara and myself, but a long time, in our Spring Ahead Speakers Toastmasters Club. And by the way, that is a plug for our club. We meet at noon on Thursdays in the Woodlands here. And if you want more information about it, send me an email or a text. I'm not going to give you the address because, well, I never know who gets a hold of this. Anyway, bottom line is this. You've all driven around, or most of us anyway, have driven around and we've seen people begging either under bridges, usually at traffic lights when they're waiting for them to change. And it's always a question as to, do I do anything about this or not? Are they genuine, or are they just after extra money, or do they really need this money? Well, one of our Toastmaster members decided that what he would do, he would prepare these little bags, and these bags of this in action. And I think, oh, here we are. I don't know what happened. Why all of a sudden my computer decided to blank me out for a while. Maybe it's fed up to see me. I don't know. No, I don't think so. So that's one example. And as I've mentioned many times before, just saying hello to somebody in the store, a compliment to them. And I've given you many examples of Barbara doing this. Lots of people I've seen doing this. These are things which actually help the world be a better place. You know, in our Toastmasters clubs, I'm a member of a couple. And even in our spiritual center, we have people whose views go right across the spectrum, across the political spectrum. I've seen this when the results of the elections have come out, and some have been happy and some have been sad. But guess what? We all try and work together. So it is possible we can do this. You know, I'm sure in lots of clubs that I'm members of, whether it's Dispute Resolution Center, it's the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it is, Toastmasters, we got people whose political and religious views are right across the board, but we all do get along together. And I've quoted in the past one example of this, one prime example in the Woodlands here, that every Thanksgiving, on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving Day itself, a group called Faiths Together here in the Woodlands puts on an event where people from literally different faiths, not just different Christian groups, different faiths, Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Latter-day Saints, Unity, Unitarians, us, we all get together and we put on, and Baha'i, we all put on, and then we put on this event once a year. And we don't try and convert each other. We meet quite a few times during the year to get the event ready. Just one example. So personally, I'm not asking you to do anything in a big and huge way, but what I am asking you to do is, when somebody comes along whose viewpoint is different than yours, whether it is about politics, about religion, about race, gender, whatever, just see if you can hear each other out. And it's amazing how just the very act of listening to somebody can help them and you change your views about the world. And it really and truly does help the world become a better place. Okay, the affirmation is long. I welcome all into the kingdom, Kindom, for we're all one divine family. And the other one, he says, I consciously find ways to build bridges through conversations and collaborations. Pick one, pick both. It's okay. It's up to you. It really doesn't matter. Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.-ish. I'll be back tomorrow evening at 5 p.m.-ish. And until then, just remember, you are a special person. There never is, never has been, never will be another person born onto this planet who can do exactly what you can do. trust me, you are a very special person. So until next time, namaste.